What is freedom? Is freedom working every day, 9 to 5, just to have a roof over your head? Working so hard for money and possessions, but then you realize years have passed you by? Are you working to live or living to work? Life is short. We only have one life. Are you living it? After living the normal life, I made a choice to sell, donate, and give away 90% of my possessions for freedom. No chains to hold me down. My channel is all about how I built my tiny home on wheels and how I live in it with my dog Charlie, so I can travel and see this beautiful country. Come and join me on my journey. Hey, what's up guys? So I wanted to make a video real quick on what happened this past week. So my van broke down again, no surprise. But it was an easy fix. That's not the problem. It was my idler pulley. The bearings went out. The problem was AAA. So AAA knows that I have a 3500 van. I upgraded because they told me I had to upgrade because of the weight of the van and all that stuff. So I upgraded to the RV package. So here I am. I'm broke down. I'm on the side of the road. No big deal. The bearings were on the ground, and I knew exactly what it was. I had an idea. Call AAA. No problem. Everything's fine. I'm like, send a flatbed. Send a flatbed. They're like, okay, I'll put it in the notes. And I'm like, no. Make sure you send a flatbed. You know, this is the same thing that I had. I had an issue with this before. So I'm waiting. This is around 12, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And get a text message saying that he would be there around 2. About 2:45, a tow truck pulls up. I'm like, okay. So the guy gets out, he backs up, and I'm like, are you sure you're going to be able to do this? And he was like, yeah. So he's on the radio and stuff, and he's like, he knows that the notes say flatbed. And he's like, yeah, I'll go ahead and try it. I'll go ahead and do it. Guy was an awesome guy, though. I'm not bitching about the guy. He was awesome. So he puts the boom down, extends it out to the back of the van, and wraps the things around the tires, and he starts to lift it up. All of a sudden, we hear this big bang. Pow! And a piece of metal goes flying. He's like, what the... And I'm standing there, and I didn't have my friggin' phone recording at the time, and I wish I would have. So I walk over to him, and he's like freaking out. Not like freaking out, but he's like got this look on his face, like, what in the hell just happened? Where'd this come from? And he's holding this big piece of metal in his hand, and he's like, where in the world did this come from? We're looking. And so anyway, long story short, he gets back on the radio, calls for a wrecker. So he's like, all right, it's going to be another 45 minutes. So another 45 minutes go by, and a flatbed shows up. And the first guy was still there. So when the second guy showed up, we started bullshitting, talking, and stuff like that. He was like, wait a minute. What size van is that? He was like, 3,500. He's like, man, I can't tow that. He was like, I can only go up to 1,500. And so the first guy was like, oh my God, you have to be kidding me. So he gets back on the radio. He's like, look, send the king. So whatever the king is, I guess it's the bigger flatbed. So long story short, longer, whatever way you want to look at it, finally that guy shows up. He backs up, and he starts hooking everything up and blah, 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 blah. And I'm looking at it, and you can see that it's going at an angle like this, trying to bring the van up. And I'm looking at the back of the van, and I'm looking at my cargo carrier and the bumper for that matter. And I'm like, dude, that's not going to make it. That's going to drag on the ground. So as he's pulling it up, sure as shit, it's getting ready to start dragging on the ground. So he brings the van back down, and I have to take the cargo carrier off. So I start taking the cargo carrier off, and after I take the cargo carrier off and he starts to lift it up, he's like, it's still going to drag. It still started to drag. Even the spare tire underneath the van was dragging. So he's like, I'm like, well, can't you bring it down a little bit so it's not so much at a slope? And he was like, yeah, it's extended as far as it can go, but I want to, I'll try and bring it down a little bit. So we had to bring the van back down again. He lowers it down a little bit more so it's not so much of a slope, and so then he brings it up and he gets it up there. And as he's bringing it up there the third time, and I'm sitting there going, couldn't you have gone from the other side? Couldn't you have backed up and pulled it up from the backside? And he was like, well, we usually go this way, just in case we want the backside of the vehicle to hang over the edge if need be. So anyway, I was happy, tickled pink. It was up on the thing. Yes, I had to take the cargo carrier off, blah, blah, blah. No big deal. I end up towing it to back to the golf course because at that point in time, my original plan was it was noon when I started this whole project. So I'm like, all right, I'll get everything towed over to the shop. I'll get somebody to pick me up. I'll go to the hardware or the auto parts store, get the part for it, go back, replace it, fix it. Everything will be running great. Everything will be fine. But by the time we got back to the golf course, it was already late. The person that was supposed to pick me up wouldn't have been able to pick me up at that point in time. So I was like, all right, I got to work in the morning, so I'm good. I'll just stay at the golf course and I'll just fix it tomorrow morning. So that's what I ended up doing. I ended up going to work, and then after work, I ended up getting Napa to deliver it, and then I just fixed it myself. So real simple project, real easy. But yeah, just a headache of the big circle of all the crap that had to happen. So, but anyway, yeah, hope you guys are doing well, and I will talk to you guys later. I've got another video coming, so stay tuned for that. Like, subscribe, all that good happy stuff. If you want to, I don't care. No, I'm just playing. I do appreciate the new subscribers. You guys are awesome. But anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Y'all have a good night. Drive safe. All right, so this is the idler pulley right here, the one that's in the middle, the one that's more smooth. All the rest of the pulleys have grooves in it for the underbelly of the belt. So it's real simple, man. I took that part out. Well, first of all, I had to loosen the tensioner, which is that one right there on the left-hand side. So you loosen that, you loosen the belt up, and take out the old one. This is a bearing. It looks like crap. Look at that. There's nothing left. Like I said, the bearings are on the ground. But yeah. So it looks like I'm probably going to have to replace the alternator pulley and probably the tensioner pulley as well at some point in time, but I'll get to that some other day. This right here is the new one. It's nice and shiny. The bearings are in there, nice and tight. It's got the dust shield on there. So as you can see, this is the old one. It's pretty nasty. Pretty gross, but yeah. So it's really not a hard project, man. It's just one bolt, after you loosen the belt out, then you just take out the old one, put in the new one. Just one little bolt right here, but it's not that hard. It's a little tight in there, but it's not that bad.